people have created all sorts of stuff. There's like, just like very original stuff. There's stuff.
Do you have an enterprise, Nick? Do you have an enterprise?
I got to look for the enterprise. I want to build
beautiful anime nonsense on steroids. Awesome! I bought it about an hour ago. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the theretrorents Retro Gaming Podcast. It is our 53rd episode. Yep, 53rd.
5-3.
And I am Al.
I'm Nick.
Oh man, what has been going on? I've been tired, hence why we're a little bit behind. Kids killing me. Wife's killing me. Work is still wonderful, though.
That's good.
No, I love my job, man. It's my job has some very, very cool, very unique challenges in my profession, and it's just made me better at what I do, and I love the people I work with, man. Like, I work in a company full of some of the coolest, most brilliant people I think I've ever met in my life. I just love it. It's great. Every day of work is fun.
That's awesome.
So what's going on with you? How's everything with now that you're settled in down near Delaware?
It's right. All settled in. It's still unpacking. Still trying to find, I'm down to like little things that I can't find anymore. Like I have a ice tower somewhere and I can't find
that
it
for the rest of your life. Yeah, no, I said you'll be doing that for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, it happens every move. Like it's like socks in the laundry. It's like it will just disappear. It's like I swore I packed this, and you never find it again.
Until I look in my dog's cage. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those. Ah, fuck.
Oh, everything's falling apart.
Oh shit! Symbolic of everything right now. Here so it doesn't smack me in the nuts again. Okay. Yeah, no, it's I've noticed that when I moved into this house. There was a lot of stuff. Like I thought I brought everything from my parents' place. I mean, thankfully it's not like they're far away. but like I was talking to Travis the other day, and it's like, yeah, somewhere in a box either here or at my parents' house, I still have my Nintendo Power number 17, which was the Final Fantasy strategy guide.
Ah.
It's not like it's in great shape. That thing was fucking well used, because like from the time I got that until my Nintendo broke, I probably played through the original Final Fantasy and beat it like 10 times. So I remember distinctly that the cover fell off sometime in 1989. But, yeah, no, it's just, it just happens, man. Like, there are stuff where it's like, you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, where did that end up? Like, my collector's edition of Ultima 9, it was a big-ass box. No idea where that is. Yeah, no, other than that, what else is going on?
I think that's about it. Just, usual January. Cold.
Yeah. So that brings up a good question. I remember in your previous jobs, kind of like come the holiday, Christmas holiday, you were basically like on Hell Week. Like you couldn't.
Oh yeah. This was basically like do not contact me. I may pop out of the cave occasionally.
We never saw him.
Don't expect contact.
Yeah, like literally until like that period of time was over, we never heard from Nick. And, like, you just knew he was busting his ass, because it was, like, his streams stopped, his posts stopped, like, everything stopped. So is it similar in this current?
Oh, no. Night and day. Like,
good for you.
It was a very chill, no pun intended, December. And,
well, you went up to where they actually had a winter.
Yeah, it's true. But the first time in basically 10 years, I was able to take off vacation before Christmas.
Yeah,
like within the month of December, it was like a week before Christmas, I was able to actually take off. It's like, oh man, it's so nice.
That's how I knew things were different. I'm like, wow, Nick's already at the cabin.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right. It's like, oh.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that, man, because I know how hard you worked, back in those days. So it's cool to hear you've kind of, made your way past that. I mean, it was interesting for me too, because like starting a job midway through the year and still trying to come to grips with the concept of unlimited PTO. And yeah, I mean it's one of those, like, in your judgment the time you can take off without leaving yourself behind to where you're starting to fall behind. Not just on your shit, but like where the company's going. But it's great because, like, I'll probably use about 5 weeks of vacation a year, which on the average is what, a corporate company will give you when you've worked for them for 20 years. And it's like, to me, like, that's kind of like, that's what it should be. Like, you should at least have, like, kind of 2 weeks towards the Christmas holidays or just the winter holidays, 2 weeks in the summer to go do something, and then, sprinkle a few days throughout the year if you're, if you just need a day or if you get sick or whatever. And I love that this company is kind of all about that. So it's just cool. Like, I'm looking forward to planning a nice summer trip with my family and doing what I did this year. But this next, this coming year, I'll take like an actual 2 weeks instead of a week and a half, and just, because as a parent, it's really cool to be able to be around for the Christmas holiday and like help out with that kind of thing, and just watch my kids just get geared up for it and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's I'm glad, man. You deserve that fucking time off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so what have you been playing, man?
So, my usual games, but my newest game is Empyreon Galactic Survival.
I remember this from
it's on
years ago.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's been out. It's still in early access, essentially, on Steam.
5 years.
5 years. Okay, that sounds about right. But it's actually in a very, very stable state. I think I want to say it's close to release. I don't know if they have a schedule. I haven't actually checked that.
Mm-hmm.
But I got into it with one of my Warship Clan buddies who likes to play a lot of it. He's like, yeah, it's got space stuff, and it's like, it's similar to Space Engineers if you ever played that. But it's, you're able to, either like build things kind of like Lego style where you have like all these little blocks and whatnot. But it also has like Ark or survival aspects like Ark or Conan, but it's in a sci-fi setting. So you're able to be in these ships, and they can, you can have these hover ships, and you stay on a planet, and then you can get up into space, and then you eventually, build small vessels so you can, start going to other planets in the same system. And then eventually you build capital ships, which can make larger jumps that they can eventually go to other star systems and travel to other parts of the galaxy.
That's wicked. How big is the galaxy, just out of curiosity?
I don't know how big the whole thing is. I know like our sector has, I think it likes 5 or 10 solar systems that you can travel to.
God.
But I say it takes a while because you have to collect the resources because you have to have fuel to make the jump. And then once you're there, you kind of you're plopping down bases, and then kind of setting up defense posts because all this time you have like these PvE elements where all these alien guys are always coming after you because you're pissing everyone off wherever you go. And so you have to like defend it, and then you collect your resources. And obviously you kind of get into a little bit of a snowball effect in terms of like once you get to a certain level and supplies.
Yeah.
But still, and then it's fun like going in raiding bases, and each planet has different difficulties. In our first solar system, we had a planet we dubbed Mustafar. Because it was literally the lava planet, but this was a hellish planet, a bug planet.
Oh shit!
It was a 4G planet, so it's extremely heavy.
Yeah, so you can't jump.
You can't jump, and your ships are just like as soon as you hit atmo, like your ship's just like plummeting like a rock, or you're using like all your thrust just to maintain flight level. So yeah, there's physics elements to it too.
That sounds really cool. Like I have this in my library now. I'm like, I have to install when we're done.
And each one will be different. Like it's kind of like randomly generated, so you won't necessarily get the same starting planet or anything like that. But yeah, so there's all these things. There's like water planets. I don't think you necessarily build underwater per se, but you know basically your small craft you can force it underwater. But things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do. There's like asteroids, there's stuff in space, and I think they're like they're continually adding stuff. And the community workshop alone has a ton of builds. So there's default stuff within the game. But I think the most fun is actually, I've spent several hours already just combing through the catalog of community
Mods,
content. No, it's not even mods. It's just community content you can get for the base game. Where it's like I said, you build it Lego style. Well, you can save those blueprints and then upload it to Steam as your own creation. So people have created all sorts of stuff. There's like just like very original stuff. There's stuff.
Do you have an Enterprise, Nick? Do you have an Enterprise?
I got to look for the Enterprise. I want to build a Millennium Falcon. I downloaded Millennium Falcon, but the particular server I'm on it doesn't allow for it's so big that it doesn't allow for it. So I gotta find a smaller version. But yeah, there's like Millennium Falcon, like all sorts of Star Wars stuff. There's like the Mandalorian ship. The what is it? Name.
Can't remember.
The Razor Crest.
Yes.
So yeah, someone's like made the Razor Crest. I know someone made like the drop ship from Aliens.
Oh, so cool! That big horseshoe thing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, not the horseshoe.
Oh no, not the horseshoe.
The drop ship. So it's like the one where the pods come out, and it's like it's like a not a well, yeah, kind of like a helicopter, but it's a VTOL.
Nick, I didn't need another game to get into, but this is right up my alley.
Just all sorts of crazy stuff, and so it's a whole lot of fun, especially if you're into the building aspect, and it's like now I'm getting to the point where like I'll get a template, and like it might be like it might be set up like with some very basic engines. Like no, you know what, I want to go faster, so I rip out the old engines and like slap in these huge suckers, and now I'm going like twice the speed.
That I'm telling you, man, I love that shit. Like
so
that's
the thing. Like you're not locked to whatever the template is. Like you can modify it once you have it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Like you will lose hours, trust me.
Yeah, I bought that. I remember very specifically because it was right after my second child was born. That had just hit early access. And I don't think the space travel portion of it was in yet. So it was just kind of the planetary aspects, which were cool, but it wasn't like, something that would have kept me coming back, because there was probably 1,000,001 games that had the same goal, which was No Man's Sky sucked, so we're going to do it better. And
yeah, it does have a No Man's, like in No Man's Sky, it was more like you can mine in that thing. But that was about the extent. Like you can't customize your ship. Like whenever you want a new ship in No Man's Sky, you have to buy one.
Yeah, you can buy one.
You buy to get a new one, and you're locked to whatever you're given.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, there's mining aspects in the same kind of a similar ground play, but the customization of the ship is like completely up to you.
Yeah, see, that's where I could really get into this too. So I think I'm gonna have to check that out. So cool, man. Thanks for telling me about that, because that is definitely my speed. I would love to have a game I could just kind of chill and play. Once I get over my pile. So talking about my pile, so I again, thank you, Glovebox. I'll say it every fucking time, man. I've gotten really into VR, and I've been playing the shit out of some VR. And my latest obsession, I've been playing this on my lunch break just to kind of break a sweat and get some exercise, being a work from home man now. It's a game on Steam called Blade and Sorcery. Have you played this?
Yeah, I've seen it. I think it's actually in my to check out list to eventually get to.
Okay, the next game you buy needs to be this.
Needs to be that.
It's early access, I believe, because it's not fully fleshed out yet. There's no, like, eventually there's going to be PvP and stuff like that. But right now it's just kind of like there's several different environments, and then you pick the kind of battle you want to do. It could be like, a wave. It could be 1v1. In a gladiator arena, and just like like we'll talk about the arena for a second. So it's like, you know, fucking Gladiator, and there's like a spike wall, you know, sticking up in part of it, and like you can just say, you know, I want to do a wave of bandits and blah 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 blah, and then you go through a catalog and kind of pick the weapon you want to use. And where this game, I think, has really succeeded, where others have not in this genre, is physics. Like, one of my favorite things to go into a fight with is a rapier. Because I can literally go in, dodge an attack, literally, like, you know, I'll sit down and play it and still work up a sweat, and literally, like, dodge to the side to miss a stab, and then stab somebody with my rapier.
Oh.
And the physics of it is so great. It's like you'll see it, like you'll sink it right into somebody. And if you try to step backwards, well, your blade is still in there. You have to like pull your sword out.
Oh.
Otherwise, you'll lose it. You can also like go right up to somebody, just grab them by the head, and start smashing them in the face with your fist or your sword hilt. Or every now and then, I might not be having the best of days. So I'll go through the weapon catalog and I'll pull out a claymore. And I will go fucking Braveheart on motherfuckers. And it's literally like models like you if you try to wield it one-handed, which you can do, you're just not going to get the right force. The balance is going to be off. But once you like, you know, bring up your other hand and, you know, pull the grab button like you would if you were holding a sword, now you got this thing two-handed. And if you literally, like, bring your arms down with enough force, and you have to put force behind it, it's not just, like, connecting with the other body. They've modeled the physics. Like, you have to bring that shit down fast, and then they model the weight. And it's like, oh, you just chopped that person's arm clean off. And I think that's probably my favorite part about it, is, like, I'll be fighting, and there'll be, like, a wave of 5 people, and I'm literally, like, looking all around me and shit, and it's like, all right, there's the guy ahead of me. This guy's too close, so I'm going to take my claymore and bash him with the pommel, and that will knock him over if I do enough force. So now I don't have to worry about him for a second. Then I can turn and, you know, slash and cut somebody, you know, down the side of their face, so they stumble back and they're leaving me alone for a minute. Then I'll turn and stab the guy over to the right. Like, it literally makes you like, it's like, yeah, man, I am in the middle of fucking Braveheart right now. This is cool. So I have had an absolute blast with that game. You can also there's magic powers that you can get. And I don't know if you can unlock more over time, but the one that is available, at least when you start playing, is lightning. So you're literally the Emperor, if you want to be the Emperor, which is great. So I'll have my rapier in one hand, and then I'll summon my force lightning in the other, start frying somebody, and they're sitting there like, you know, they've just been electric shocked, and then it's go stab them and finish it off. It's kind of cheaty, but if you just really need that kind of release for your day, you've got that too.
I think I've seen a video of a mod where you can actually have a lightsaber.
Yes, Luke mentioned that. I didn't realize that, and I haven't looked into it, but I am going to now, because the workshop, like you were saying, for the Empyreon game, the Steam Workshop community for this is off the wall, and his son apparently like plays with lightsabers and force powers, and I think that's where this game's big appeal really is. So I'm probably gonna check that out in the very, very near future, because I have a lot of fun with that game. So that's like been the bulk of my VR playing. I'm still going through my Witcher 3 playthrough. I'm still like 100% convinced all my heart, like that is my game of the decade. Just playing through it again after watching the Netflix series and reading the books. You know, I have been reading the books ever since the series came out. And you start catching these references, and the game itself is just awesome. Like there's so much detail, there's so many side quests, and I've never played one where it felt like, okay, you're asking me just to go kill the rats in your basement. Like,
right, yeah.
There's
like not too many repeating.
No, I really haven't found any that repeat. I mean, the situation might be similar, where it's like, hey, so-and-so went to pick berries in the woods, and now they're gone. Can you go look for them? Well, it's like, one village that might have been, like they were attacked by, I don't know, monster one, whatever. But then the other one, it's like, oh, you're having an affair with a werewolf and you killed your sister. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Oh man.
Yeah, like it's just the depth of it is really great. And so I've just been having so much fun playing The Witcher 3. And then Travis and company got me into Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing that. I got a level 25 archer on Goblin. So if anybody listening wants to play, hit me up on Twitter. I'll give you my character name. I'm only saying because I don't 100% remember it right now. But yeah, I love it. Like it's kind of single player focused in a way where you can play your main quest by yourself and you can get involved with other players, but it's primarily a really good Final Fantasy game. The graphics are beautiful. The soundtrack, oh my god, Nick, like that's top of my list for the next video game soundtrack I buy.
Oh yeah, I think I actually have it in my library somewhere. It's actually really good.
It's just gorgeous. And I have a new appreciation for it after watching Danny O'Dwyer's No Clip documentary on it. He did a wonderful documentary on just the evolution of that game and how it started out in the first era. The first version of it was a total flop of Final Fantasy XIV. It was just epically bad in many, many ways. And yeah, it's just it's amazing to see how far that game has come. It's a very, very good game. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing. That's what I've been enjoying. Let's move on to some release highlights. We got some cool stuff that have come out, since we've talked last. I'm a little pissed off because I got my wife the Kingdom Hearts on Xbox and Kingdom Hearts 3, and there's a DLC that came out this weekend for, I think it's the PS4 version, but the Xbox One will not get that DLC until February 25th, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I was a little pissed off about that. But yeah, it's called Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. And the review I read today just has me excited to watch my wife play it. The guy said it's beautiful anime nonsense on steroids. Which, Kingdom Hearts 3 is just plenty nonsense in and of itself. So I'm excited for that to come through so my wife can play it. Because she absolutely loves those games. She's been going through the Kingdom Hearts Remastered collection on my PS4. My daughter has been watching her during the day while our oldest is at school. They'll hang out and kind of play it together. So it's cool to see that they're doing more with Kingdom Hearts 3. The next one I had to ask you about, Nick, because I've heard amazing things about this, and I know you and I have been very reticent to jump on the CBS All Access bandwagon. But Star Trek Picard has gotten rave reviews. So you haven't seen this yet, I gather.
I have not yet. I'm waiting for the whole thing to be out, and then I'm gonna do the 7 days access via Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
and then watch it that way. That way I don't have to pay for CBS's thing for one show.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I did do some reading about, the episode that they showed, and I don't want to go into spoilers or anything, but I was like, what a perfect way to start a new series with Picard as to where he's at this point in time, with everything that's happened. And one of the themes that they talk about that he's dealing with in the show is the loss of Data.
Right.
From Nemesis. And I was like, oh my god, I'm with you. I'm like, I can't try this just for one show. But fuck, I really want to watch that. It just sounds so good.
It's like, oh man. And I guess that, they're already lining up season 2.
Yep.
Because I think I saw some things that, Patrick Stewart asked Whoopi Goldberg to come on for season 2. So it's basically like all the old cast, and even I know from the previews, like Jerry Ryan from 7 and 9 of Voyager is on there. So we're going to see some more of Voyager alumni potentially show up later.
Well, she wasn't just on Voyager, wasn't she on TNG as well? 7 of
No,
9?
no, just a Voyager.
Shit, I guess you're right. My bad. Yeah, but I love how they reference like it really has only been 20 years since the Dominion War, like shit like that, and they're still reeling from that, and like the Federation kind of like becoming isolationist, and it's kind of like a little modern play to today. It's just very interesting, and I'm really geared up to watch it just because the reviews and praise I've seen of this have been universal, and I mean. We didn't need another reason to think Patrick Stewart was just a goddamn international treasure. Well, I'm excited to see him in that role again. I love I love William Shatner, and I love pretty much all the Star Trek captains that have come and gone. But he will always be my favorite. I grew up with TNG. That was my show. You know, as a kid, that was my sci-fi that I just binged on.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, we always had like Star Trek was the original series TOS was always on reruns, but like for us, it was like we grew up with Generation.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And like I don't know, like that series has always held a really special place in my heart, just in sci-fi because. I really hadn't found a sci-fi series that I could really get into and binge like that until recently. I just started watching The Expanse on Prime not too long ago.
I want to get into it. I'm kind of waiting for Twitch to do their viewer watch party thing, release it to more streamers because I know they're prototyping it. But once they do that, then I'm probably gonna like watch it with my stream community.
Ooh. I didn't know they were doing stuff like that.
Yeah, basically, like I think it's only for like super partners, the last I saw. But basically, the concept is if you have Amazon Prime, and then as long as your viewers have Amazon Prime, go figure, you can then stream the show. Or well, you can stream. Just your viewers won't be able to watch unless when you're in that mode, unless they have Amazon Prime as well. So that's I think their way of kind of getting around any kind of copyright issue because it's all parties have the Amazon Prime and it's available for Prime.
That's genius.
So and I know that's one on there. So it's like I keep hearing raving things about it. It's like it's like the sci-fi show, and it's like oh man, I want to watch it.
It's literally to me it is the like best sci-fi show in. In long memory, I would say since TNG, it's incredible. And knowing you like I do, I know you're going to be all in on this one. So, yeah, nice. I mean it's cool. It's very cool. Other release highlights came out today or yesterday. No, I think today. Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners on VR. This looks awesome. I bought it about an hour ago. I plan on playing it tonight once everybody's in bed. I remember seeing a trailer for this drop not too long ago, and I just watched a couple of review videos just to see if this was yet another flop of a Walking Dead game, and it sounds like they finally got it right.
Because I think the only one that's actually been of any decent value was the Telltale Walking Dead. Yeah,
which was amazing. That entire story was absolutely just gut-wrenching and wonderful, and I still have to finish the final season. I have it, but like I remember Am and I had gotten to episode 2 of the last season, and that was like due to come out, and then shortly after Telltale closed. We're like, yeah. What the fuck? Like, we gotta finish this story. But yeah, no, I'm excited to play another game kind of in this universe. And the funny thing is, I'm just not that into the show. I enjoyed like the first 2 seasons of it. I know I've said it on here before, but kind of lost interest after that because it's like, okay, yeah, I know human beings are scumbags, and I'd rather not have to watch a show where that's just a constant theme.
That's what I kind of heard. I'd watched season 1, I think, way back in the day, but it's like time and whatever. I never got around to watching the other season. But from what I heard from people who We actually watched like all of them. They said like season 1 was the best, and then
Absolutely.
after that, it just kind of like, you know, there were moments, but it was never, you know,
Yeah.
never kind of re-achieved that.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. I mean, my perspective, I loved the first season. I really enjoyed that. Started watching the second season, and like I don't mind like soap opera drama. I don't, but like I don't know. It's hard to describe. Where it's just like the the human element. Like everybody is just to be questioned and questionable, and it's like I see enough of that shit in real life. Like
Yeah, right.
I don't need it in my fucking fiction. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. But I'm excited to play the game because I was watching some videos on it, and it looks like a lot of fun. Another one where you can grab a zombie by the head and smash it into shit. So I'm all about that. Yeah, VR, I'm just all in, man. I can't wait to play more. But that's it for release highlights. We do have some news. Some of this might be old news at this point, but Final Fantasy VII, the remake, has been delayed a month.
Again.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there was a couple other things coming out around that time, and I think this is actually a very good move on their part. I mean, I'm sure they're doing it for quality control.
Sure.
But Jeremy from Bad Fodder Figures had mentioned, oh, that just gives you more time to play X. I don't know if it was Last of Us 2 or there's another big game that was coming out around the same time, and I was like, you know what? That's a really good point. Now we can actually sit, play that, and enjoy it before we throw everything to the wind to go play Final Fantasy. So yeah, I mean, for that, it's like, okay, do what you got to do for one more month. I think the bigger kick in the gut for a lot of people was that Cyberpunk has been delayed till September.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it almost doesn't surprise me, but at the
No.
same time, it's like they can take their time. The Witcher is I saw, several things. And I remember The Witcher was delayed back, or Witcher 3, I should say.
Yes.
And it's like, got a great product out of it. And it's like, take your time. Like, there's, CD Projekt Red is one of those where it's like them taking time is absolutely worth it.
Totally. And I think we talked about this before. It's like, out of any other company out there, like, CD Projekt Red says, we're going to take more time. No, go ahead. Take all the time you need. Because the last game you released was the best game in the last 10 years, so you have at it.
And all the preview stuff from like E3, and I think they had like some special event sometime after, I remember, where they revealed more. It's like it all looks so cool, and like maybe it's like, can we get maybe some more teaser stuff? Just, taste the palate a little bit.
Can you give
that
us,
he needs a little medicine.
Give us a little piece of that steak, will you? Yeah, no, I totally agree. I would love to see some more, but you know what? I think that's just adding to the excitement of this game.
Oh, sure.
It's just, we've seen bits, we've seen pieces, and it's going to be very cool to actually see the whole when it comes out, I guess. But another thing, I forgot to write this down, but another one of my favorite series, sequel, got a release date. Following the great, wonderful Brian Fargo on Twitter, Wasteland 3 comes out May 19th. And there's a remaster of the original Wasteland coming out, I think, in a month. But did you ever play Wasteland 2 when that came out? The director's cut?
No, I did not.
So that was another one kind of done on the, games done in the style of the Infinity Engine. Like Baldur's Gate and all those.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely awesome RPG. If you don't already know, Fallout was 100% inspired by the Wasteland series. Like, they've admitted it. They said that's the game that made us make this game.
Gotcha.
And, Wasteland 2 was great because it was another one where it was kind of like The Witcher, where it wasn't so much like black and white. This choice is good and this choice is bad. Like one of the early choices you're confronted with, it's the first kind of big choice. is, you're these desert rangers. You're a group of, people in this wasteland that go and help nearby settlements from, your big established kind of semi-city or whatever. And you get 2 distress calls. One is from this agricultural outfit that does like crop genetics to grow, big crops and tons of food that's feeding you and the local area. Then you get another distress call from the people that are running this. Basically, it's like a water treatment and manufacturing facility that produces water, and you can only save one. So it's like...
So hard decisions.
It's a tough decision, and like that's the kind of shit that game kind of throws at you, and it was a lot of fun to play. The class system and like creating characters was great, and so I'm excited to see that that Wasteland 3 is going to be coming out this summer. That's going to be another great game to come out this year, and it's just I think we're in for a really good year, man, for sure. And speaking of this, I know we talked about this last time. Half-Life Alyx, right? That's
oh yeah,
pretty close, man. Not too far away. I think it's March, right?
Yeah, I think they made a statement that they were confident they wouldn't have to delay. So it's like, ooh.
You know how I know? You know how I know they're telling the truth?
How?
Because every single Half-Life game is now free to play until Alyx comes out.
True. Very true.
Yeah, they announced that today or yesterday? Yesterday, I think.
Yeah, sometime this week.
Sometime this week. You can play all of the Half-Life games for free until Alyx releases. So if you haven't had a chance to go through and hang out with Gordon, it's dated by now, but they're definitely worth a playthrough. I'm sure Nick would agree there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like now, the original Half-Life, it's definitely very aged.
Super dated. Like, do you remember playing Jedi Knight? It's that dated.
Yeah, it's very aged. Now, I think there is a mod out there. Was it Half-Life? Oh, dang it! It's basically a fan-made remaster that they're working on, mm-hmm. And I think they got everything done all the way up to until you get spoiler Zen. And I know they were working on Zen, but yeah, it makes it look fantastic. I've watched some videos of it. I haven't downloaded and played it myself.
I'll have to try.
But as long as you have the original basically the original Half-Life, you can mod it and make it look absolutely gorgeous. And I think it's the exact same gameplay. Like they don't alter the gameplay or anything like that. So it's pretty much the same thing. I want to say maybe they adjusted 1 or 2 maps just for clarity or ease of use or something like that. But more or less, the original experience is pretty intact.
Nice. I might go check that out myself then.
But at the very least, I'd say like Half-Life 2 is worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And they never made Half-Life 3.
Yeah, Half-Life 3 is Alyx.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to play that. I can't wait. But yeah, go enjoy that while it's free. It's a great series, and now you have nothing to lose. Go experience that. Last bit of news. I was very shocked to read this week. Is one of those, here's a sequel we never asked for and knew we wanted. They're making a new Kingpin game. I specifically remember pirating this when I was about 10 years old. It was called Kingpin Life of Crime. If it wasn't on the Quake engine or the Duke 3D engine, it was around like kind of that era. And it was notorious because content. Hardcore, gangs and motherfucker and F-bombs dropped here and there. It was just one of those, like, I look back on it now and it's like, yeah, I was an 11-year-old that wanted to hear the word motherfucker in a game.
This is so edgy.
Oh my god. And hit somebody with a pipe, oh my god. And it's just... But apparently they're making a new game in that series, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. It's got to have at least a better story this time around because, well, a lot of games say shit and fuck nowadays.
Yeah, right. It's pretty much par for the course.
Um, but yeah. So, other than that, that's pretty much the news this week, unless you had any other things you wanted to bring up in the news there, Nick.
No, I don't think anything stood out to me. It felt like outside of the I think the Half-Life thing and the delays, it's been a fairly quiet week, I think.
Yeah, it has been pretty quiet. As we mentioned the last episode, our SavePoint game of the month was Witcher 3 because that was on Game Pass. That's the other thing. I'll mention that next. But yeah, I've made it to Skellige, and I'm like trying my best to complete everything but Gwent, just because I'm not into Gwent. If I want to play Gwent, I'll go play the Gwent game. Like I just want to like focus on the monster hunting and the story and stuff like that, and I'm really enjoying that. Maybe I'll do another playthrough one day where I do that, but for me right now, I want to play through the story and I want to do all the DLC content because I've heard that's almost equally as massive, which I just want to like experience one after the other. So I'm going to do that. But I'm really enjoying it. So if anybody else in the SavePoint has been doing a playthrough of The Witcher 3 since the series came out and everything, we'd love to hear how that's going. Make a post in the SavePoint and let us know. Other than that, I think that kind of brings us around towards let's hear from everybody else. We got some voicemails. We actually got a voicemail last week, last episode, the day after we recorded. Our boy Glovebox left us a message. So we're going to start with him, and then we have one more voicemail related to our question of the bye week, which I'll read off now. Glove boxes obviously won't have anything to do with that, but the question of the bye week that I asked today was, what kind of game would be your dream VR experience, like, or what have you always wanted to play in a VR environment? You know, we all dreamed of what VR could be back in the day, and like, you know, we all want a holodeck. So, like, what is that game that you want to play? So that was our question of the bye week. Before we get to the voicemail and our answers, let's hear from our boy Glovebox.
What is up, Al? This your boy Glovebox, man. Hey, I hope your VR stuff is going great. Shout out to you and keep it going, man. I love hearing everything you're getting into. But I'm answering your question, the bye week question. You said, what was your favorite game of 2019? I know you listened to our show. You heard me rave about, like, Asgard's Wrath and all that stuff and Stormland. But you specifically said for 2019. Now, I want to say all of VR in general, because I just love VR and I know you do too. I mean, it was so much stuff I was playing, like Astrobot and Stormland, and even like a Borderlands VR. You know, that's the stuff. But I always go back to Resident Evil 7 VR. That's like top tier, my favorite game ever. Okay. Also, you know, my Overwatch and all that good stuff. You say what are we looking forward to? More VR. I'm looking forward them to add VR to games. Like, can you imagine Cyberpunk with some VR components?
Yes, I can.
Man. Oh, man.
You know, anything that I can get VR, I'm taking it. All right. I don't know, man. I just, you know, love the whole VR thing, and I don't want to pump it up so much, but, you know, it is what it is, you know? Hey, man, great show. Keep it going. I'm listening every chance I get, and shout out to you, and you know, I get a chance to say Happy New Year and Merry Christmas and all that good stuff to you. So, yeah, Happy New Year, brother. All right, man. That's it. I just wanted to chime in. So, I'll talk to you soon, brother. Later.
Later, Glovebox. Love you, man. I appreciate the Happy New Year and the Merry Christmas. And I'm with you. And it's funny. I kind of I had listened to this call after you had made it a couple weeks ago, and I'd forgotten that the bulk of the content of your call actually fits in fucking perfectly with our question of the bye week this week. So that was just really good timing that we didn't play it to this episode. I am with you. I would love to see a Cyberpunk VR, a Witcher 3 VR. That, like, I don't know, man. Like a VR in the Witcher world where, like, I could do the wacky ass signs and shit with my hand, and the sword fights, and if they could make the world as beautiful in VR as it is just playing in The Witcher 3, I think that could be an amazing experience. I think Cyberpunk is like halfway there because that's already a first-person perspective game. And it's one of those, like, I half wonder if that game is like a massive, massive hit like The Witcher 3 was, if they're not going to do something like that. I mean, I'd love to see it. But I think Nick and I both can relate. Like, we're loving VR, man, and there's just so much great stuff. But yeah, no, thanks for the call, and I'm with you, man. The more VR I can get, the better. I'm just having so much fun with it. But thanks, Glovebox. Let's move on to the next caller. I wonder who it is.
What is going on, gamers? Now I'm with you. It's been like a year or so since I did a line of coke myself. A code! I did a line of code. Yeah, what can I say? Coke.
Line of code.
Coke. A line of code. Yeah, I haven't done much line of code myself. Really, I've kind of cut back a lot myself. Yeah, so doing better now that I've cut back. Yeah, everything's clear, straighter, everything's great. Okay, maybe not, but anyway. All right, VR. You know, it's a tough one here, Alex. Tough, and people are gonna boo on me. I'm not a big guy in the VR because I'm kind of in Captain Mike's boat. I do get motion sickness sometimes with some games, and VR is more tendency to like really push you over that edge and really throw you into that motion sickness thing. So, I mean, I like it. I tried it. I messed with the PS headset there. You know, that's as far as I've gone. I like it though. I think it's pretty cool. But like I said, I'm kind of in that boat of that motion sickness thing. So VR isn't really one of my high points. I need a little bit more stability there. But I think if I had to pick a game, I think like a football game would be cool. But they'd really have to bring it home. I think it'd really be a challenge right now. But boy, if they brought that, or even baseball, even any sports game, I think if they somehow could really bring it home and make you really feel like you're on the ice, on the field, on the turf, on the court, I think that'd be like outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I don't think the technology is there yet, though, to really bring that home. But hey, maybe in the future, maybe marching forward, maybe we'll get there. Do that and make it a little bit easier for us motion sickness people not to fall off the edge of the boat there and be puking our guts out. And I'll be all on board. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got, guys. I kind of have to be quick here. I have a few more lines of code I got to take care of and stuff. So, yeah, it's funny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to look at Twitter. Me now had a little thing on Twitter for a line of code. So that's an inside joke for any of you people. So if you don't know it, get on Twitter and you'll figure it all out. Anyway, gentlemen, hope everyone's doing great. Keep up the great work. And as always, arrivederci.
Arrivederci, Fred. And just to clarify what he was talking about, I was talking before I started work the other day that I was actually going to be diving into a little bit of coding just because I wanted to. And I used to be a software designer. I think I mentioned this in a previous career that I've left behind for over a decade now. But the company I work for has some really cool things for developers, and there's something called Actions that they just released this past November, and I really wanted to like kind of mess around with that just to make my own day job easier. And so I was like, yeah, I haven't touched a line of code in 10 years. And Fred replies, I swear to God, I just read this wrong and I was tired and I thought you said line of coke and I can't stop laughing. Oh, God. It's a good thing I never did. I'm high-strung enough. I'd probably explode into 100 million pieces. But, yeah, no. But Fred and I had a nice laugh about that. So, good on you, Fred. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the laugh. So how about you, Nick? Like, if you could have your kind of ultimate VR experience, what would it be aside from live porn and tactile?
Well, I mean, we kind of, and we'll have to do outside of like, the Star Trek bridge thing. It's like we finally have that. Even Star Wars, for that matter, like we're getting these crazy Star Wars game. I still want to. I gotta download the whatchamacallit. So
you gotta play
basically
Vader.
able to play. Yeah, the Vader one. So I download the converter to play Vive on Oculus.
You gotta play
Revive.
Vader.
I gotta get Revive, and then I can try out Vader. Because that looks badass.
And I think I mentioned this before, just because if I haven't, I wanted to mention it to you. That game in VR, in the first episode, as you're going through, and all of a sudden you get pulled off your ship, and they're like, oh, and you're basically facing an Imperial interrogation droid, and they're like, before this, Lord Vader wants to speak to you. And when he comes walking down the platform and he is standing in front of you, like, I can't stress enough, if you grew up during the time that Nick and I did, your fucking heart's pounding in that scene. You're just like, oh my god, it's fucking Vader, and he's standing right in front of me. I know this isn't real, but he's gonna fucking force choke me, and I'm gonna feel it through VR because he can do that because he's really powerful. It's great. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. See, that's what I'm looking for. It's like, yeah, give me that. And I don't know, just like more like in-universe stuff of like, I'm trying to think of anything like that hasn't had a good VR yet. I had one on the tip of my tongue and I lost it there. Dang it! And now I can't think of it. But yeah. I mean, like, basically, So it's kind of Star Wars, something like Star Wars Galaxies in a VR type of thing, where it's like, okay, you're not restricted to, I say restricted to the map, but kind of like, an MMO of that scale, something like that. It's like where you could go anywhere, kind of do anything. I think that would be cool. I know there are MMOs out there but what I'm seeing is pretty, lackluster.
Yeah, they're not that great from what I've seen.
Maybe something like worship, VR worship.
Ooh,
and I think
cool.
there are some I say educational. I put them into the educational category of like, I think you can download a Yamato tour.
Oh, really?
So you can tour at your leisure. It's not really a game as it is, again, like more educational / enthusiast type thing. But something like that, or I'm trying to think of maybe like a recent movie or something like that, where it's like, yeah, that would be awesome to like experience in not the movie, but like the
but be in that universe.
The universe, yes, thank you. I was like, what, man? I am failing words. Be in that universe in VR, and so, something like along those lines. So like more or less, I've already like hit like the golden playlist of like, it's like this. Finally, I get to it's like, again, it's like Star Trek, Star Wars. Those are the top of my list.
Yeah, no, and I think this will connect right with your wires. Like, Star Trek Bridge Commander kind of really put a bug, or Bridge Crew put a bug in my bonnet, so to speak. I would love to see that whole concept expanded to where, like, we could still play as a team on the ship, and we're both officers on the ship, and then we get called for a mission on a planet, and we beam down to a planet, and it's like, the missions are procedurally generated so that it's like, hey, want to go play an episode of TNG, basically, where it's like, maybe we're doing something diplomatic, and we have to do such and such a thing, and, like, it's smart enough to take what we say and understand the basic concept of it, and does our tone of voice and the content of what we're trying to say, like, match what they're looking for to solve the problem. But something like that, where we'd have, like, a Star Trek world that we could literally kind of inhabit and play together, and then, like, we do the ship combat. Like, I think they nailed that. I think they nailed the ship portion of that. That feels great.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
I remember what it was. So obviously we have a lot of good like space stuff. So we have Elite Dangerous that you can play
Right.
in VR. It's really cool there. But I would like to see a Lord of the Rings
yes,
VR experience.
Yes, and
It's like take part in the major battles and like you're like go through the mines of Moria type of thing. It's like that would be awesome.
Or for my own sanity, like it's been a shit day at work. I'm just gonna go walk through the Shire. And
There you go.
you know,
Just like
go sit in the Green Dragon, and like if your friends are playing too, you can go sit with a friend, and like if I have a mixed drink sitting on my desk, I'll just sit there and drink and shoot the shit with you at the Green Dragon as if we were sitting at the bar. Something like that I think would be awesome, and especially Middle Earth because it's such a vividly imagined world that everybody who has read the books and is a big fan of the books and the movies, like you see it in your head, you know, in general what it's supposed to look like, and seeing that in VR would just be a mind blower to me. It would be so much fun, whether we're playing through the eyes of another character or kind of doing what Lotro does, where you're a supporting character in a supporting cast of thousands, helping the Fellowship along on their journey. I think it would just be incredible just to even just go through some of these environments and see first person in full 3D of what somebody else imagines this would look like. Going through Golem's Cave, going through Mordor and seeing the Tower of Barad-dûr and Minas Tirith. I would love to see what Minas Tirith actually looks like, riding towards it on the plane and actually getting a true understanding of the visual perspective of just how big, the 7-tiered city of Minas Tirith is. Might be wrong, but you understand the concept I'm getting at, where it's just built upon this mountain to where it looks like a prow of a ship. It would just be so cool to see that in a VR environment, and I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll see that someday. I think it's the only thing that hasn't been done yet as far as an in-universe thing. And it's probably just a matter of time now that Christopher Tolkien died, and someone's going to be like, well, this estate needs money. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the other bit of news. I don't know if anybody saw. We actually did lose two people that I've always held in high esteem. Christopher Tolkien passed away this week. He is he finished the writing and publishing of the Silmarillion. He's kind of been the spokesperson of the Tolkien estate throughout the years, and whether they were happy with the productions or not, they were the ones that like kind of blessed the movies to move forward and become a thing. So, we did lose him, and he had a hell of a run. He was in his 90s, so good on him. But it's a loss nonetheless. The other one that I was particularly gutted this week, and I'm sure you can relate, Nick, we lost Terry Jones, the Python. Did we lose Nick too? Nick? Shit. I think we lost Nick.
hello, am I back?
There you are.
Okay, weird.
Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like apparently my push to talk wasn't working.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like I said. Yeah, we did lose Monty Python fame, Terry Jones. So it's like how old was he though?
He was in his
He's up there.
70s, I think.
Was he? Okay.
80s, maybe 80s. I should have checked that beforehand. But no, I came to love him even more so later in life. Obviously, I think if you grew up during the time Nick and I did, we were kind of late Python fans. It was one of those things that had been around in my dad's generation, but I think our generation really came to embrace it, and love it. And but one of the things that Terry Jones did later in life, he started doing just incredible documentaries. And they were documentaries with a different bent, where they were basically focused on a specific subject, and they would take what you thought about that subject, what everybody thinks that's what this is about, and this is how it was. And then he'd show you exactly why we're all wrong. And it was wonderful. He did a documentary. You can find it on YouTube, or you can buy it on Amazon Prime, would probably be the better idea, called Medieval Lives. And I think I've shown you this one before, Nick, when we were hanging out, in person back in the day. Did I ever show you Medieval Lives?
I don't think so.
So the concept is, it's a 10-episode series, and each episode deals with a specific cast of life during medieval times. Episode 1 is the peasant. And it starts out with, oh, the peasant, the medieval peasant, his life was hard, and he lived in shit, and he worked 18 hours a day, and never had a day off, and died with a broken back. Like, it's one of those, like, that's what we all think of medieval peasants, and that's how they lived. And, it's not true. Like, they due to the feudal system, he explains, like, no, actually, between the feudal system and the church, they had 171 days off a year. I mean, granted, you were in church, but it was a day off. And they're just really interesting. It goes through, like, knights. It shows you that knights were basically assholes. Kings, princesses, and it shows you, he actually, like, has all kinds of studies to back up how princesses and queens, like, females, were kind of a dominating power back in medieval times, and would, like, take kings for ransom if they didn't marry them and shit. It's just a very eye-opening documentary on different facets of medieval life that we all think we know about, right down to the outlaws. And you will learn something new about every single one of those in each episode. And Terry just had such a unique way of delivering that, to where it's still, like, it had the kind of Gilliam-esque animations, that you see in all the Monty Python movies.
Mm-hmm.
It had the humor. And it's very good. I highly, highly recommend it. Just in spirit of, his loss. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a good tribute to him to go check out Medieval Lives, and I think you'll really appreciate that not only was he just a funny Python, but he was a very, very smart individual. So yeah, we lost some cool people this week. But that will bring us to the end of the show, to our conclusions and final thoughts and shout-outs. Nick, anything you want to promote, anybody you want to shout out, anything going on that you'd like everybody to know about?
I don't think anything major coming up. In 2 weeks, though, I will be in Great Britain.
What? Oh, that's right. You're going to your Abbey Road thing.
Indeed. I'm going to Abbey Road Studio.
I'm so excited for you, dude.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I've got almost everything, like, laid out. It's like, yeah.
I can't say enough. Like, when you know somebody as long as we've known each other, it's like you could pick out, like, this is that seminal moment of, like, this is a shining moment in my friend's life. Like, I'm sure you could name, oh yeah, the day you publish a book and, like, people actually read it. Like, it's that kind of, like, big monumental moment, because you have such an appreciation for composition and music, and, like, I'm just so gassed to see that you're going to, like, go do this. So I can't wait to hear all about it, man. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I'll try to document as much as I can. I know, we're already talking ahead of time, like, they're not permitting any kind of filming or photographs, so it's like, oh, suck, I won't be able to. Can you have to, like, sneak a photograph?
Can you sneak a spy cam in your pocket?
That's right, and like a spy cam on site.
No, that's so cool, man. I cannot wait to hear all about it, because I know that's going to be a great trip. And I'll let my one coworker who lives over there, like, yeah, my buddy's going to Abbey Road, go say hi. He's a cool dude. I love Matt. But yeah, man, so good, have a safe trip with that. I'm sure I'll talk to you before you head out. We'll do an episode before then. Yeah, other than that, on my end, obviously big shout out to the fans and listeners. Appreciate everybody that just keeps coming back, and people that have joined, and the people that reach out on Twitter. I really enjoy it. It's all the more fun, so thank you all for listening. Just a quick shout out to my boy Meef J from the Everyday Gamers. I know this is a very tough time of year for him and his family, and I want you to know, I'm thinking about you, brother, and just sending the good vibes and all that stuff your way, and just, know people love you, man. And next, obviously, big shout out to the boys at Bad Fodder Figures. Captain Mike wound up getting the mission control system back up and running in pretty much record timing. I think they only missed that week. So, their podcast is back and going, and just great as always. So shout out to, Mike, Matt, Eric, and Jeremy. We love you too, Jeremy, man. You gotta come back on there, Bubba. And then again, one other shout out to, two other shout outs. The gang at Married to the Games. Love you guys. And then, Tap the Craft, my favorite craft beer podcast. Love those guys. So, other than that, if you want to talk to us, come hang out on the SavePoint at tiny.cc/SavePoint. Talk games, gaming news, shit we're playing, stuff that's coming out that we want to play. It's a cool place to come hang out. Kyle and I pretty much are very strict, like no hostility or anything like that. So it's really made it a very nice group to come hang out and just talk about the games you enjoy with people that enjoy games. So check out tiny.cc/SavePoint. Come hang out with us. You can email us, theretrorents@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at theretrorents, or me at retrorentsal, or Nick at Black Eagle Ops. On Twitch as well, I'm retrorentsal. Kyle is Kibitz on Twitch. And then Nick is Black Eagle Ops there as well. And I think that will wrap up episode 53. So, as always, till the next time we all get together, have fun, play games, and don't be dicks.
Peace.
Yeah. And we're out.